privilege to be here. Thank you to the Brand Innovators team for hosting this. So as you can hear, I'm not from around here. I'm actually from South Africa. And I grew up at a very interesting time in our country. I grew up during apartheid. And I was 9 years old when Nelson Mandela was freed from prison. And 13 when we became a democracy. And so my childhood was quite weird in terms of what the perception was and the expectation and the reality actually was. And in 1995, South Africa hosted the first ever Rugby World Cup in our country. It's 1 year into democracy, a democracy that the world didn't think would last or make it through. And that Rugby World Cup was an inflection point for me on a personal level, because I got to see firsthand the power of sport and what sport can do when used for the power of good. And that year I saw a country come together like never before. And so that was a big moment for me, just personally, and a big, driver for what I think sports is and what sports could be. And you fast forward to 2010, we hosted the first FIFA World Cup in South Africa. And although we won the Rugby World Cup in 1995, we didn't quite get there in 2010. Our soccer team is not that good. But it wasn't about the performance of the team on the pitch. It was about a game. Can the country come together and deliver a FIFA World Cup that the world just didn't think we could? And so being part of that again and seeing how united as a country can be when something like sports comes to the fore was just incredible. So those were formative experiences for me, and experiences that from then on I knew I wanted to be involved in sport in some shape or form.
It's a great experiences, and when you and I were speaking, John, in the intro last week, we share, I don't know what your favorite city is, but mine is, we just had a great Innovators event in Manhattan last week. It was the Aston Martin event, and got to sit next to a guy from Starbucks, a marketer from Starbucks, and he grew up in Cape Town, Tanzania. Cape Town was his favorite city, and so well, mine too. So I think we do share that. It's a great city. If you've never been, it's a phenomenal experience. And you will see, Table Mountain, the Apostles, great wine country, beaches. Although your sharks, having grown up in Florida and surfed in Florida, your sharks are much bigger. I'm sure their bites are much bigger too. But it's great. And so, I'm an old guy here, not afraid to say it, Gen Xer, and I remember very distinctly, back, I guess it was actually, I'm not going to guess, I actually looked it up because I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was 1979 when the Mean Joe Green commercial aired, and it subsequently played during the Super Bowl in 1980, won a Clio. And I remember that commercial so distinctly, and you guys will have to YouTube it to pull it up, but if there's any old folks in the room like me, you probably remember it well. But it was just a great kind of moment that kind of captured so much emotion and so much of the fan experience from a little boy's perspective who kind of idolized this football player. And the one thing I do remember as a little kid, the kid hands Mean Joe Green this bottle of Coke, literally the kind that you can only get in the Mexican Coke variety now, the original bottle. And the guy just chugs it. And of course, I'm a little kid, I'm a boy, and I'm like, why isn't he broken? That's the first thing I thought of. And then Joe Green, throws the kid the jersey. The rest is history. So Coca-Cola has a long heritage in sports marketing, and kind of talk a little bit about where you see kind of what Coca-Cola's heritage in sports and in marketing to sports, and where it's been and where you see it going.
Look, we look at sports, I think you heard from so many of the folks today, that sports for brands can actually help drive a business and drive ROI. It's no different for us. When we think about sports and partnering with sports teams, organizations, and players, it's really to drive three key objectives for the brand. Number one, how do we connect with consumers? So how do we connect with our own end consumers through things that they truly care about? It's a shortcut to their heart and to their head. And sports gives us that platform to absolutely connect with their core target audience. Secondly, can we use our partnership for how we engage our customers? We're not necessarily an end-to-end business. A lot of our product is distributed through customers or third parties. So if we bring on board sports as a passion point and we connect with our customers, sometimes we can pass through rights to them, activate their trade, or get them excited and engaged in what we're doing. And then thirdly, it's also about just driving corporate reputation. Sometimes, no matter who you are and what you stand for, you need third parties to be able to stand up and say things that you just can't. And so sports and sports partnerships gives us that opportunity also to connect with like-minded individuals or like-minded organizations that have a point of view, that have a voice, and that actually help drive whatever the reputational perspectives are that we're trying to do at that time. And we've stood the test of time with sports. We've been involved for the longest time. In LA 28, we'll be 100 years partners with the IOC. And so that's one of the longest sports partnerships in history. And it hasn't all been easy, it's been some tough going too. But it shows that when values align, and when two organizations can come together with the same objectives, then something bigger than the sum of its parts can come together. And I think that's the power of sports, when you connect the dots and partner with those like-minded organizations.
Yeah, Coca-Cola has really been, as a global brand. I mean, at one point, I don't know, this was years ago, I saw a stat that Coca-Cola was the most recognizable brand worldwide. I don't know what the recent brand studies are, but you've worked multiculturally, like back before it was a popular thing to do. You had markets around the world. You were part of Coca-Cola, I believe, in Africa, right? So, so it's not a new topic for Coca-Cola, but on the topic of inclusivity, what does inclusivity mean in sport to Coca-Cola?
We operate in 207 markets around the world, and so the whole notion of inclusivity is in our very DNA. We are a multinational and we operate, let's say 207 countries. So inclusivity goes very deep for us, and it goes beyond just gender or beyond race. It actually goes beyond that too, and it goes into abilities. So a lot of the conversations today have, of course, been about top-tier athletes, tier 1 organizations, and that's fantastic, and we need to be there. But we also think about inclusivity through different lens. We're also partners with the International Paralympic Committee. And we were very proud of what happened at Paris this year and how we supported the athletes that are disabled in certain ways. But it even goes beyond that, and what I'm very proud about, one of the things I'm most proud about, is we're founding partners of the Special Olympics. For 56 years, we've been part of the Special Olympics movement. And we've just signed up again for the next 8 years with the Special Olympics. And maybe we can show a video which can talk better than I can about why we are so privileged to be part of this movement with the Special Olympics.
My name is Eva. As I sing my lullaby. I work here in the cafe, and I'm a swimmer and sing gospel. I am open for other people, so I just open up my arms. Here I am.
I remember I was also very busy with both school and gymnastics. It's fun to see now that it turned out to be you who ended up being the professional athlete. Look at you now.
Now I'm a swim star.
Now you're a swim star.
Yeah,
yes,
now
exactly.
I'm a swim star. Yeah. I feel happy when I see you at my competitions. I like Special Olympics because I really love to see other people in other countries and be friends with them.
Are you sometimes tired and don't want to go to practice?
No.
No?
I have pressed myself to train more and more and more. It makes me proud. Just believe in your heart and just keep going. You can do it. I trust you.
I think that's a pretty good example of the power of inclusivity and taking it away from a badge and exercise and actually contributing back into the sports ecosystem in meaningful ways. And that's been an important driver for us in the partnerships that we've helped to date.
Yeah, something else that kind of, that's a lovely commercial, definitely hits the heartstrings and makes the connection. But the other thing I noticed there, and I think there's also, I think later, Simone Biles says Powerade, there's more healthy alternatives than there used to be, right? It's not just the mean Joe Green, drink this Coca-Cola full of sugar. There's a lot of other healthy alternatives that Coca-Cola in a lot of ways have been promoting very early on, from the waters to the health drinks. And what we're seeing at Shockoe, we build immersive experiences and activations for sport and other retailer brands. And we actually just recently helped DC United build an immersive activation for their fans at Alley Field for a blueberry brand called Fruits. So you think about going to a concession stand or a pro sports team, blueberries are the last thing, typically at least that come to mind for me. But just promoting more healthy lifestyles, healthy choices, as well, especially as fan base are younger and younger, parents want to give their kids, a more healthy alternative, healthy experience. I kind of wondered, I'm not expecting kind of the soccer leagues in England to be adopting that anytime soon, but anyway, women's sports, Coca-Cola has been, on the forefront, like many things in sport and sponsorships, has been on the forefront of women's sport as well. And how does Coca-Cola's role in sponsoring women's sport kind of align with your company values?
Yeah, it goes back to the notion of inclusivity at the heart. We were the first partner of the FIFA Women's World Cup in 1991. This was before the trend of what women's sports is today was around. We saw early on that we need to be actively contributing to the sports ecosystem, not just for men, but for women too. And so through actions, through investment, through the clout that we can bring to the table, we wanted to make sure that women are equally represented. And while we're not there yet, progress is on the way. I'm hoping for a time to come when we don't talk about women's sports and men's sports, we talk about sports. Like, that's where we need to get to. We're not there, progress has been made, there's still a long way to go. But I'm very excited to see where the wave is going now. I think finally we're starting to see not just what happens on the field of play and how skillful these female athletes are, but what you're actually starting to see off the field of play. And you're starting to see brands and companies supporting and getting behind women's sports. That's a rising tide that lifts all boats. And so I think that this momentum in this wave that started, long may it continue until true parity is achieved. For us, we also try and stay ahead of the curve there. In the recent Olympics in Paris, we had 97 athletes that we had signed globally to participate. So we're obviously we sponsor the IOC and the Paralympics, and we also worked with Team Coca-Cola and these 97 athletes. 70 of those athletes were female. So I think that also shows our approach and where our focus is on making sure that we try to be at the forefront of empowering and showcasing what women can do on the world stage.
Yeah, and I think it's also you've got kind of a bully pulpit with your brand in the funding you bring to the table. And I think what I've seen Coca-Cola do is go into markets and not really give a big choice. It's like we're going to support the men's and the women's as a package deal. And I think that leadership kind of shows you're living out the values versus just talking about it. I think showing that leadership is really powerful in the market as well.
Yeah, all the deals that we negotiate at the moment, we negotiated with the European club, for example, it's no longer about the men's team, it's the men and women's team. And sometimes the clubs themselves don't even bundle them. They'll keep them as separate entities. So where we can, we try and push to be putting these bundled opportunities together, and through some of the early work that's happened, you're seeing more and more leagues or clubs starting to come to that terminology where brands are now pushing to say we don't just want to sponsor the men's team, we want to actually sponsor both. Or in some cases, we want to sponsor the women's team, not necessarily the men's team. So it's a very interesting state that's going on at the moment. We just recently signed a long-term deal with US Soccer. And with US Soccer, we signed all 27 teams that the US Federation oversees. So you're not just looking at your world-class women's team that are world champions or the men's team, you're looking at the 27 teams that the Federation oversees, including the disabled team, the blind team, etc. So I think brands do have a responsibility to lead from the front where we can, to exercise that, whether it's through the financial means or through other ways, and to have a voice and to try and lobby for that. Laura over there from Pro Sports Assembly is helping us and being a key driver in making sure that this is at the forefront of how front offices are thinking about the way they structure their teams and their organizations. And so whether it's through the brands, whether it's through NGOs, whether it's through partners in the ecosystem, it's very important to do that.
It's very cool. So I know we've also got, you did quite a bit of sponsorship with Simone Biles at the Olympics. I think we have a little video. Do you want to share that now?
Yeah, just before we jump into the video, we also found that coming out of Tokyo Olympics, many athletes were having, there was a mental health challenge. Like all of us are human, and we've all gone through that at some stage in our lives. And coming out of Tokyo, especially what those athletes had to live through in the build-up to the Olympics, going through COVID, then it being postponed, I think the level of the mental health issues were just the next level. And it was also coming to the forefront. And so Powerade, as a brand, it's always been endemic in the sports space, and it's always been about physical performance. Try to understand better, take a step back and say, well, to be a complete athlete, it's not just about what you do physically, it's about what you do in the mental space too. And coming out of Tokyo, we partnered with Simone, but not just to say Simone being a TDC for us. Walk the journey with us. Help us understand what you've been through and where you've come from and where you're going. And when we signed Simone, there was zero expectation that she would participate in Paris. Zero. But we were signing Simone to try and understand the journey, the mental health journey she'd been on and where she got to. And through the next few years, we learned from her. Authenticity has been something discussed a lot today. We learned about how to authentically connect with fans through things that are authentic to them, so that it's not just a badge exercise. So there's a quick spot, but it showcases, I think, really well what we did with Simone for Paris.
She was expected to be the star of the Olympics.
Simone Biles, greatest gymnast, is saying, I'm not myself.
She has on her shoulders.
This is new. The pressure on these young athletes is greater than ever.
When you're the greatest ever, you want everything you do to be the greatest, and we haven't seen that from her tonight.
I had no idea where I was in the air. You could literally see it in my eyes in the pictures, like I was petrified. I felt broken. That's why I decided to take a pause. It's okay to say, I need help. For years, I was only celebrated for my wins. And now it's like, for being a human, for being vulnerable. I had to prove to myself that I could still get out here, twist, I could prove all the haters wrong, that I'm not a quitter. One moment you're on top of the world, and the next you find yourself gasping for air. I had to relearn to trust myself. I still have to dig deep down and remember why I'm doing it. And do it for the little girl.
She's done it again! This is a fantastic triumph by one of the greatest.
Simone Biles is an all-around world champion.
That's awesome.
I think just through the learning that we have with Simone, and then working very closely with the IOC, one of the manifestations, tangible manifestations out of this was, many of you would have seen the Athletes Village or heard of the Athletes Village. It's 15,000 of the top athletes from around the world all in one area. And it's manic, it's fast-paced, it's just crazy when you go in there. And the athletes themselves are saying, I need a space to chill. Like, it's just, I need somewhere to chill, and there wasn't one. So we worked with the IOC and we developed what was called the Mind Zone. And through partnership with Powerade, we developed the Powerade Mind Zone, which was a completely chill area where the athletes could go, disconnect, just be somewhere that was quiet. They could actually write, can you imagine, postcards in today's world of technology? a postcard that they could post home to their loved ones to say, yeah, in the village. It was an experience that they could just sit back and chill, Zen music. It was just really nice. And what was interesting is we did this for the right reasons, because we wanted the athletes to have a place to chill. But that athletes' village and the connection with Pirate became one of our most trending topics during the Olympics, which we never expected. But the athletes themselves were telling the stories from the village, and that was one of the stories they were wanting to tell because it was different, and that's what they wanted. So understanding a holistic athlete is so important in today's world, and I think all brands need to be looking at that from that level too.
Yeah, I think we're in between the marketing world and the tech world. The two most overused terms are AI and authenticity. There's almost like a drinking game to play. But I think that really is brave to show. When an athlete like Simone is willing to show vulnerability and weakness, it really is, I think, a lot of ways an inspiration. And for Coca-Cola to back it up and put the branding behind it, I think it's powerful. It's a powerful agent for change to perfectionism. It's opposite of kind of what a lot of the social media is doing in the world today. So I think it's great. So when you think about cultural relevance, how do you think about cultural relevance? And I guess how does Coca-Cola live that out through your sponsorships in sports and entertainment?
We also like to use the phrase be both timely and timeless. And I think that's how we govern ourselves when we think about culture. Culture is like a wave. Either you're creating it, you're riding it, or you're crushed by it. But you need to learn how to surf before you can even decide to get on that wave. And so for us, that's how we think about culture, is there are times we want to be creating the culture and be driving the culture. So for a point of view that we believe in, that is important to the company and our values, we want to be at the forefront of creating that cultural wave. There are times that you want to be involved in it and make sure that you're not being left too far behind. And so all the things we've discussed today around creators, how we need to use influencers, giving more control of your brand over, being in that zeitgeist of what the cultural phenomenon is important. For us in the sports space, it goes beyond sports. It goes into this notion of convergence. And so especially with today's Gen Zs, many of them are not coming in just through sports, the 90 minutes on the pitch. Many of them are coming in through music, or fashion, or gaming. And so you're starting to see this convergence like never before, where passion points are being blurred. And so to be a sports marketer now needs to be an entertainment marketer too. And I think a lot of folks have come up and represented that fact that their company is no longer just a retailer, but an entertainment company creating 700 pieces of content a week. And I think that's how we are also thinking about this, is that it's not didactic on-ramps that we used to have in today's cultural zeitgeist, but it's about understanding the ecosystem that it operates within. And sports is not in isolation. There are a lot of other forces that come into play. And if you want to get into the cultural relevance of today, it's understanding those forces and understanding the passion points will be part of it.
We're seeing similar, it's kind of a similar conflation of like sports and entertainment and fashion all in one. We're working with a brand right now. They have about 200 stores throughout the U.S. and an apparel manufacturer. But what they're trying to do is create. They sponsor a lot of athletes who use their product and wear their product. And you see the Instagram posts and what they do on social media, and they've got some phenomenal influencers and some phenomenal experiences. But then you walk into the store, and it's just like, it's just kind of a plain vanilla store. So we're partnering with this company to try to bring that immersive experience through web AR and the phone, through activation, through the touch, NFC touch, QR if necessary. We're trying to blur the lines to bring some of the athletes, and they largely are affiliated with ex-Dayton athletes, and bringing that experience into the store without having a major investment of re-outfitting all 200 stores, which that kind of thing is going to change on a regular basis anyway. But yeah, there definitely is a blurring of the line between culture, whether it's hip hop on a Instagram channel, Instagram influencer, and ex-Games athlete, all kind of converging all at once, and then trying to bring that all into the store, and out of the phone. One of our big challenges with our clients a lot of times is, getting people to look up, right? Especially in sport, right? We never want, whether it's a PGA app, which we wrote. We're working with a very famous golf course in Scotland, the most famous golf course in Scotland, and these heritage brands care a lot about making sure that technology doesn't detract from the experience. Whether you're watching it or you're playing it, it's got to enhance the experience and enhance it and solidify that brand. So, I think that it's not as easy as it sounds sometimes, especially when you're a tech company. You kind of gravitate towards, look at all the cool things this can do, right? But how do you actually enrich the experience? So we've got a little bit of experience in that as well. It's anything else you want to add, Brad? This has been great to have a chat with you, man.
Yeah, I think just on your last point about the digital world coming into the live experience world, you're right. I think you have to have both. I don't think it's one or the other. Today's modern, we talk about soccer, today's modern soccer fan has dramatically changed from 5 to 10 years ago. A hardcore fan used to want to watch 90 minutes of the game, sitting in the stadium. While you still have those fans, 100%, many fans now are watching 6-7 games at the same time and have the ability to multitask like never before. And so, both as a brand, as a league, as a team, you have to be figuring out how to connect with that new fan today, enhance the live experience to the best of your ability, amplify it if possible, but use technology to bridge and to enhance as opposed to detract. And it's a fine line. It's an absolute fine line to make sure that you're at the stadium watching the game. I think Nick was talking this morning from the Verizon point of view about how you have to straddle between being in the moment and giving fans the opportunity to watch it live, but at the same time, being able to provide the opportunity when needed to share your experience and to talk about what you're doing. And I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all approach. I think each brand, each league, each team is going to be different in how they approach it. But it's not a war, it's an and everybody has to figure out what the best areas what that is.
Yeah, there's different, some teams are big market teams, but the money that the University of Texas has, the founders and the boosters, it's just amazing. You look at this stadium and this experience here. This is better than probably half the NFL pro stadiums in the country. So it's cool. I really enjoyed just kind of being out here and just seeing the expanse of this thing. So I guess in closing, one of the things that I just wanted to just give a quick shout out. We've built an app for brand innovators, and you can download it from the app stores. And we look forward to your feedback on it because we're working with Mark and the rest of the team to help reduce the amount of big paper agendas they've got to print out at every event. They do a lot of events. A lot more than I personally thought when we started partnering with brand innovators. But we really welcome your feedback. If you're using the app, or if you have feedback, please, direct message me, hit me up on LinkedIn, or just come see me. We're trying to expand the experience to make it easier for you to network with your peers at these types of events and leverage that app experience and expand upon the app experience that we started building. We launched it, I think, at Cannes in France. It was kind of coming out already. We had a beta test at South by Southwest here in Austin earlier this year. And it was a little rough, but we're going to continue to refine it. But we welcome your feedback. How do we leverage technology for you to get more out of these events in the future? So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.